I just got done playing one of the most hyped MMOs to come out for this year, Dune Awakening. If you're not sure what Dune Awakening is all about, it is an MMO, but also goes into a lot of like sandbox elements where you have a lot of crafting, building, and overall just having a pretty survival aspect into your gameplay. It's not really about like, completing quests and making sure that you have to, complete all of these different exploration contracts in a way. It's mostly just about surviving at the end of the day. And yes, they do have objectives that you can overall work towards, but it's really just about making sure you're surviving, making sure that you've got the right protocols in place to keep yourself going, and overall just having a good time with exploring. Now, one thing I will mention is that when I was looking at the live streams of this game, I was a little bit concerned mostly on the combat, but the combat is actually very well rounded. And it's really not super important, the combat, too much in this game, I feel anyway. Like, obviously, you're going to go out, you're going to face some enemies, you're going to have a few difficult battles, but it's not always about like having the best skills, having the best armor. It's pretty much just making sure you're avoiding and blocking things that are coming towards you, because that's honestly what survival's about. If you can't win against an enemy, run away. That's okay. And I think in some games, it's like, oh, you have to have the best gear and you have to do all of this. Obviously, you always want that. But in terms of the combat aspect of Dune, I don't think it's really like a heavy focus of the game, believe it or not. And I was very skeptical about that because I personally like MMOs with a lot of different skills. And you only get like 4 skills in this game. So I was like, oh, I don't know about that. And then I saw some of the skills and I was like, they don't seem that great, like nothing spectacular. But I will say that overall the combat, it flows pretty well. And a lot of it is parrying, blocking, making sure that you're just like attacking, but also the NPCs are actually kind of like a little smart, just a little bit. They're better than stormtroopers who can't like shoot and because they miss, they're better than that. At least they like know as NPCs, like they know like to kind of dodge, and so they'll kind of dodge your attack. So you just kind of have to like get your own rhythm together, but also use the environment to your advantage, which is a huge part of the game, the environment. Oh my gosh, the graphics are amazing. The freaking cutscene cinematics, beautiful. The sound ambiance, oh my god, it was so good. I would be running around in like a wreckage of a ship, and then legit, I would just hear the creaking from the wind, and it'd be like, grrr, and then I'd actually get like anxiety that the whole like ship was gonna fall on me or something. Like, it was so well done and well crafted, I will say that for sure. And I think it's just a gorgeous game. If you really want like a very high graphical thing that honestly didn't really take too much of my like CPU and all of my computer energy, it really didn't, then I think that it's definitely a game that's good for you in that regard. So it's definitely very playable in that aspect. When it comes down to some of the like, obviously this is a beta weekend, that's why I was able to play, but when it comes down to some of the graphical issues, there are some issues with glitches in the game, which is why I kind of understand why they delayed the release. I kind of hope that they get it sort of worked out. Like, a lot of the things were weird. Like, there's literally a clip I'm gonna play right now where we're glitching through the house that we just built, the base, and legit, it like triggered from a sandworm that was like several hundred meters away. It was really odd. So yeah, they still have some glitches going out. So if you are someone who's playing the game right now over the weekend, just keep that in mind. But it's a beta weekend for a reason, and I'm sure that they'll probably get most of it taken care of by the release date. Let's hope anyway. But besides that, there are a few glitches. They shouldn't be too unplayable for you at this current state. I personally wouldn't really worry like about these glitches going forward, because I know some people are like, oh my god, there are all these glitches in this game. But it wasn't anything that would like kill the entire gameplay. It was just like weird bugging out issues. A lot of it came from like climbing, and just overall like the way your character would be placed on things, it would just get a little funky. Another thing I want to mention about the game that I think was really spectacular was how the environment can kind of go against you. So what I mean by that, obviously the sun was a big aspect into your gameplay. You have to stay in the shadows. You have to make sure that you're staying out of the sun so you don't have a lot of debuff effects that hit you. And sandstorms can randomly just pop up all of a sudden, and they are dangerous. I will tell you that. They are very dangerous. And sandworms are another aspect you also have to keep in mind. Obviously, there are probably more and more enemies or things that you will face throughout your time, but as you would assume, you know, moving around in the evenings where it's dark out and you don't have to worry about the sun so much, well, there's some other prey and predators out there that you might have to, you know, keep an eye on, or maybe could help you with finding out some things, which I thought was super unique. One thing that I want to touch on as well is like the building and crafting aspects of the game. That's something that is super critical to advancing some of your overall main quest. And overall, your main objective is pretty much to find one of the Fremen, I believe is what it is. I've never watched Dune or anything related to Dune, so I'm just coming in this like totally blind, but that's your overall main objective and what you can kind of like work towards as you know, go on this journey and you're trying to find certain things or get answers to things. You definitely end up having a more well-rounded experience with the crafting and building complexes in place. So it'll definitely like tell you, you can build your base, you'll get all sorts of instructions on things that'll help you throughout your gameplay with your base. Obviously, you can store things there. It's definitely a really well-rounded experience in that regard because you're able to craft things, able to build things. It's not too complicated to learn. I will say the researching was a little difficult because things are all over the place, but when it came to the crafting, that was like pretty simple and they had a sorted like filter. Researching, not so much that I saw. So just keep that in mind. It might be a little complicated going between the different menus, but overall, it's pretty well-rounded, and I think it's a good way to go about things. When it does come down to like building your base though and like placing walls and elements together, it is a little odd because you have to like select what you want to put in, and then you almost have to like hold down your left mouse button to actually build the thing. So it's weird that you have to like place it first in your imaginary like mind essentially, and then you build it after. So that's a little odd, but it's something to just get adjusted to, I would say. It's not something I've seen really in any other games. Like normally you just place it down and you're good to go, but you kind of have to take that extra step. So that's a little odd. And it might feel a little like complicated at first, the building system, but it just takes a little bit of getting used to, I would say. I don't think like it's really a negative thing about the game, but it's like something I wish that they probably implemented a different format. Also, going back into combat, you do get a lot of different skill trees or things that you get to use. Obviously, in your beginning of your tutorial and introduction to the game, it's a really awesome cinematic, but you do get to choose what sort of cast you are associated with, who you are as a person essentially, and what you want to focus on with your skill set. So I went with a swordsman. With the swordsman, I had a lot of different variety of skills, but I was doing a lot of melee, combat, that sort of thing. Pretty much with the way that the skill trees are set up is that you kind of commit to one in the beginning, but it looks like you can actually learn every single different like class mechanics in their trait trees, but you have to find people within the world to train you on that before you can start earning like skill points towards it and unlocking some more of that. So it seems like just because you commit to like one particular aspect of a like playing style doesn't mean that you actually have to commit to it later on, but it seems like it'll be like a long, well-rounded experience where you get to unlock more sorts of skill-based things so you can kind of switch out like what you want as your primary 4 skills. So that was kind of cool because I was hoping that they would do something like that, but it wasn't really seeming like it would be as such in the beginning with the combat live stream I saw. But it just seems like an overall good time. And like I mentioned before, I'm really not all about like only having 4 skills to utilize. I'm really not. But the way that like the combat works in Dune Awakening, it just doesn't seem like it's a super big priority, but it's something that they have just to kind of implement and offer a little bit more variety to players. I'm not going to go over the character creation too much for you just because I know that there are a lot of different channels that have covered that. But Oh my gosh, there's so many options. I was very blown away with it. It actually takes a long time to kind of put your character together, and I love how mine turned out. I will just say though, I was a little bummed that they didn't have more hairstyles, and you can kind of see with the NPCs, like, I feel like they didn't really try with the hair. Like, I felt like everybody had the same kind of hairstyle going on, and it just was like kind of upsetting. I'm all about hair, but like they really went over the top with, like, you know, having the ability to change your jaw height or your chin height or, you know, your nose bridge and, you know, how far away your like mouth depth was or whatever, like how far your lips are out essentially. But my golly, we only got like what, 40 hairstyles of that for like all different types of characters. So I was a little like odd or confused by that, because I feel like that's something that they would have tried a little bit more with, but it is what it is, I guess. That's my biggest kind of sad face about the game, disregarding all of the glitches going on right now. But yeah, I think overall with the game, it's a really good experience. It's definitely a fun game just to kind of like let loose and do a lot of like immersion and just exploring. I think that Dune does a really good job with the immersion aspect of the game. They do an incredible job on the sound design particularly, and that's kind of like what gets me into the immersion of certain game franchises or just like their worlds, you know? Like, it's so complicated when you're throwing out all this lore, you're throwing out all these things that I don't even know because I don't know nothing about Dune, and you're like, oh my god, these people are attacking these people, and I'm like, I don't understand. But once you kind of add in like the sound design aspect to it, and you can kind of like get a feel for the world, and then you're just kind of out there doing whatever, it's like a really fun experience. It was nice running into other players and seeing people build their own bases and do their own things, and everybody was super kind. But yeah, it's just an overall good time for a game, and I think if you would like to play Dune, it's a good time to join in, especially because everybody's really excited about it. I will say that just overall right now, some things to kind of keep in mind is that glitches are still going on. I hope that they fix it by the time that the release date is, since that is on June 10th, unless you obviously paid extra for the ultimate bundles and stuff like that, then you do get early access on June 5th. But regarding that, I just hope that they fix the glitches. I hope that overall the character customization could maybe grow in hairstyles. I doubt they will. And then I just overall hope that they're able to kind of implement more in terms of like how crafting and combat maybe could work together. So I definitely do think that you can craft like your own weapons and stuff like that, but it just seems like overall that's not a huge necessary thing that they want you to focus on in the game. They're like, great, you have a weapon, good enough. But it's like, what if I want a cool weapon? Like, what if I want to make my own, you know? Which I'm sure they'll get to it, but it's like, I wouldn't hope that it would take several hours of the game in order to get there. Like, I would hope that it would be kind of like within less than 10 hours of the game, which could be the case, but who knows? We'll see. I do overall like the combat, the environment, the way that the environment works for or against you in some cases, and I think that just overall it's a great time to join in on Dune Awakening, which you should check out. I do have a link below if you'd like to check it out. This is not a sponsored video or anything of the sort, but I was graciously giving a beta weekend code from Funcom, so I do have that link below if you want to check it out. Feel free. But yeah, I hope you guys have a good day and check out Dune if you haven't seen it, and until next time, you better stay weird, you weird weirdos.